On the afternoon of Tuesday, April 28th, 2026, the historic city of Mineral Wells was forever changed. A violent tornado, part of a massive supercell system sweeping across North Texas, carved a path of destruction through the heart of the community, leaving behind a trail of shattered homes, uprooted lives, and a city in a state of emergency. The atmospheric conditions on Tuesday were a perfect storm for cyclonic activity. High humidity, extreme instability, and significant wind shear converged over Palo Pinto County. At approximately 5 p.m., radar indicated intense rotation just west of the city. Within minutes, a large, rain-wrapped tornado touched down, moving directly through industrial zones and residential neighborhoods. Sky-warned storm spotters and the National Weather Service, NWS, in Fort Worth issued a tornado emergency, the highest level of alert, warning residents that a life-threatening situation was underway. For 10 harrowing minutes, the sound, described by survivors as a low-pitched freight train, drowned out everything else. The damage survey, still being finalized by NWS meteorologists, suggests wind speeds consistent with an EF3 tornado, with gusts exceeding 140 miles per hour. The eastern side of Mineral Wells took a direct hit. Several large warehouses and manufacturing facilities saw their metal sidings peeled away like paper. Roofs were lifted entirely off buildings, and heavy machinery was tossed dozens of yards. The city's industrial park, a cornerstone of the local economy, looks like a war zone. The residential areas were not spared. Trees that had stood for nearly a century were snapped in half or completely uprooted, falling onto roofs and blocking essential roadways. In the hardest-hit neighborhoods, some homes have been reduced to their foundations. Families have lost everything, from irreplaceable family heirlooms to the very roofs over their heads. Power lines were downed across the city, leaving over 80% of residents in the dark immediately following the storm. Natural gas leaks were reported in several sectors, forcing emergency crews to evacuate blocks of houses, secondary precaution against fires or explosions. Emergency medical services reported at least 2 individuals were critically injured and flown to a trauma center in Fort Worth. Dozens of others were treated on site for lacerations, broken bones, and shock. Throughout Tuesday night and Wednesday morning, first responders from Palo Pinto, Parker, and Tarrant Counties worked tirelessly. Using K9 units and thermal imaging, crews conducted door-to-door secondary searches to ensure no one was trapped beneath the rubble. Mayor of Mineral Wells declared a local state of disaster shortly after the clouds cleared. Governor Greg Abbott has since mobilized state resources, including the Texas Division of Emergency Management, TDEM, to assist in the recovery efforts. Mineral Wells is a city built on strength, the mayor stated during a press briefing at the command center. We are hurting, but we are not broken. We will rebuild, brick by brick. In the wake of the storm, the Texas spirit has been on full display. Local churches and community centers have transformed into makeshift shelters. Volunteers from neighboring towns arrived with chainsaws and bottled water before the sun even rose on Wednesday morning. However, the road to total recovery will be long. Preliminary estimates suggest the economic impact and property damage will run into the tens of millions of dollars. The historic architecture of Mineral Wells, a point of pride for the city, will require specialized restoration efforts. Authorities have implemented a 10 p.m. curfew for the affected zones to prevent looting and ensure the safety of residents navigating debris-filled streets. Residents are urged to avoid downed power lines. Document all property damage for insurance purposes. Report any missing persons to the local hotline. As the National Weather Service continues its assessment, the people of Mineral Wells stand together, clearing the wreckage of today to build a safer tomorrow. Meanwhile, the local high school is being used as a reunification center, and the Red Cross is there to help provide services, he added, saying people have already been trying to figure out how to help. There is a lot of hope out there, and we've had an outpouring of support from not only the first responding agencies but the community, Dennison said. Tuesday's storms also brought massive hail up to grapefruit size near Godley, Texas, while stones up to tennis ball and baseball size pummeled Springfield, Missouri, damaging vehicles and knocking down power poles. Storm chaser Matt Jones was in the car in Springfield when hail bigger than golf balls picked up in intensity, cracking his windshield repeatedly. "This is insane! Oh my God, I gotta get out of here!" Jones exclaimed in a video. In southern Oklahoma, a possible tornado shredded buildings, including some mobile homes, and significantly damaged power lines. Aerial footage shows a series of transmission towers bent to the ground near the town of Caney. The storm impacted several areas across Oklahoma's Atoka County, but no injuries had been reported as of Tuesday night, the sheriff's office said. The cold front that was responsible for much of this week's severe weather will make its way to the East Coast Wednesday and usher in a cooler, calmer weather pattern for much of the U.S. Before that happens, isolated severe storms are possible in the South and Mid-Atlantic on Wednesday. The area with the greatest chance of storms that could produce large hail and damaging winds extends from central Texas to southwest Alabama. Monday evening, a tornado moved through several towns in Clinton County, Illinois, including Germantown and Carlyle. This storm damaged homes, knocked down trees and power lines, and blocked roads, according to Clinton County Emergency Management Director Timothy Schleper. The American Red Cross was responding to help displaced residents. No injuries or deaths were reported, and damage assessments were expected to continue Tuesday. Just before 11 p.m. Central Time, the National Weather Service in Little Rock, Arkansas, issued a particularly dangerous situation tornado warning for an observed, destructive tornado moving through Hanover and surrounding communities in Stone County. The tornado appeared to stay on the ground in Arkansas for about 10 miles, with debris lofted high into the air and wrapped around the backside of the storm. The Stone County Sheriff's Office reported damaged homes and vehicles, downed power lines, and fallen trees blocking roads as emergency crews responded across the area overnight. No injuries or deaths have been reported. Some areas in Michigan and Wisconsin saw damage from a weather phenomenon called a wake low, which is a relatively small weather system that contains a potent line of high winds. Wake lows form behind showers or thunderstorms, as one did after rain moved through the upper Midwest on Monday morning. A 39-year-old man was killed in Kent County in western Michigan after a tree fell on him during strong winds Monday evening, the sheriff's office said in a news release. Friends of the man told authorities he warned them of the falling tree, an action they said saved lives, the release said. The northern part of the county has seen downed trees and power lines, but no other injuries, said Scott Dietrich, public information officer with the Kent County Sheriff's Office. Some structures and a trailer were also damaged after trees fell in Calhoun County in south-central Michigan, but there are no injuries reported, said Dispatch Director Michael Armitage. Some of those high winds also caused a tree to fall on Carson Kellogg's home in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He was sitting on his couch when he heard a loud crack. "I ran off the couch because I thought it would hit me. I was really shaken up," he told CNN. Multiple homes and businesses were damaged, and families were displaced in Mineral Wells, a small city about 45 miles west of Fort Worth. 2 people were taken to the hospital, and others with minor injuries were treated at the scene, according to Ryan Dunn, the city's fire chief. There were no immediate reports of fatalities or people missing. Dunn warned people to stay out of an industrial area where there's major damage and major hazards that are all across the roads. The wild weather came just days after a tornado-producing thunderstorm left at least 2 people dead in northern Texas and displaced at least 20 families. Tuesday's thunderstorms, including at least one unconfirmed tornado, were caused by large storm cells that were drifting southeast from north-central Texas, said Brian Hurley, a meteorologist with National Weather Service. The storms continued Tuesday night as they moved across Texas and into Arkansas and Mississippi, according to the National Weather Service. The storms could produce hail larger than 2 inches, 5 centimeters, damaging winds and some tornadoes, according to the agency. In Mineral Wells, where the streets were left littered with fallen trees and other debris, the mayor declared a local state of disaster. The city also instituted a 10 p.m. curfew that will be lifted around daylight as authorities continue to assess the damage, said Tim Dennison, the city's police chief. He said the curfew was to make sure that we keep people out of the areas and also try to help these victims out and keep their personal belongings safe. Officials directed anyone who needed help to the local high school, where the Red Cross was setting up. Ventomatic, a fans and ventilation manufacturer in Mineral Wells, said its facilities would be closed Wednesday due to severe damage and ongoing safety hazards, including downed power lines. The company announced on its website that all of its employees had been evacuated before the storms and everyone was safe. In a post on Facebook, Mineral Wells officials confirmed structural damage and the presence of first responders working to assess damages and immediate recovery efforts. We are asking residents to stay home and avoid traveling in the northeast area of Mineral Wells, specifically from Country Club Estates to Lake Mineral Wells State Park, along Highway 180, the post said. Images from Mineral Wells highlight the devastating impact of severe weather, with an entire warehouse suffering significant structural damage and numerous other buildings destroyed or heavily damaged, with officials saying some structures are a complete loss. The devastating twister follows severe storms that swept across the region, killing 2 people in Texas and significantly impacting Parker County and other areas across the South.
Base, but man, it's tore up. Lots of destruction. But anyways, from what I understand, Santo, I think, was out here, Parker County, seen a few. Oh
my God.